Hi, everybody, and welcome to another Friday edition of Moohead Radio. I'm your host, a big and furry bovine. One member on the panel with me, and that's Peter. And this is partially mainly about the Browns' schedule, which you've already read about 14,000 times. But I got a few other things that I want to talk about, too. And the opening of the show is what I call Why I Hate the Fucking NBA by Mr. Moohead. Oh, how I hate the NBA. They let these jokers lose and play. Here's what happened. During the course of the year, if you watch the Cleveland Cavaliers play, and we had to play against the Philadelphia 76ers, they would shoot 40 free throws in a game. And the human statue that has become, that James Harden has become, he looks like cement that has hardened. He is motionless. He sucks. He blows. He's old. He's washed up. And he never won anything important to begin with in his whole motherfucking career. In fact, he said, I'm a motherfucker. He knows it. Hey, I got a proposition for you. You can keep on talking about the second most cap space. Keep talking. There's lots of cap space if you're going to spend it. You just don't know anything about business, my friend. But you're absolutely right. Technically, the Browns have $26 million plus in salary cap. Right. So we'll see how the Browns, building the Browns, we'll see how it goes. Because Jarvis Landry just went to the Saints on a one-year deal.
Yeah.
Okay. So we had the opportunity on a one-year deal with that player. And we couldn't even do that. We're done spending money. I got a proposition for you, okay? The Browns are just gonna play who they got. I know this deprives you of a potential erection, my friend, and I don't mean to do that to you. Or they're gonna blue ball you. And I really don't want that to happen to you, my friend. Now, that's just not true. I'll put his comment up, and that's just not true. The Browns expressed interest in him, but he was waiting for an offer that never came. The Browns went ahead and they drafted David Bell at number 99. That's what happened. And they are going to, why? Because David Bell costs less money. Okay. But so I don't get thrown off. We'll talk about this in just a little bit. Thanks for joining us. I got a proposition for you. I appreciate it because I like people who respond to the show. That's what makes the spice and the interest in the program, not my incredible wit and good looks. All right. The 76ers are the process that never gets processed. All right. The 76ers, it's all talk, no action. Every year, the league talks them up like they're something special, and every year they fuck up. And it's always for a different reason. And they keep trying to get players, and those players fuck up. But James Harden, when he played the Cleveland Cavaliers, he would just barrel down the lane and lower his shoulder, and it's like blocking against the Cavaliers. He would slap the Cavaliers across the face. Oh, it's an offensive foul against the Cavs. I am so fucking sick and tired of the NBA. And Cavalier fans, if you hear my voice, please absorb this message. You're not going anywhere. Ever. because the guys who sit in the big chairs, they ain't going for it. After the last time they got 40 free throws in a game against us, I was screaming about the fact that Harden can't even play fucking basketball anymore. His legs, he has no lift. He's leaden. He's old. He's washed up. He's through. The NBA needs new names, man, because these old names are just that. They're just relics from the past. And it's amazing. You have a guy like LeBron James who inspires hatred amongst many Cleveland fans just because he's LeBron and he's kind of arrogant, who delivers, all right, and still at his age is delivering. And then you have a clown like James Harden who never delivered, not in Oklahoma. He didn't deliver in Brooklyn. He didn't deliver in Philadelphia. He didn't deliver anywhere. He is the absolute opposite of an Uber driver. He does not deliver anywhere.
Especially in the playoffs, too.
My God. And what a Game 6 performance.
Don't
you love the big goose egg? I put up a little bit of information here because I want people to know that when the Cavaliers don't go anywhere next year, you'll know why. Take a look at the free throws, against us and then against the Miami Heat. Harden had 4, 7, 8, 2, and 0, 0, 0. Nothing. He was just getting all of his points from the free throw line against us. He sucks. But that's what the league does. And now they have to go home. And you know something? After the season ended, Embiid got down on Harden. Oh, you knew that was coming now, didn't you? You had to know. You got to get me some guys who actually put out, during the course of in a postseason, they got to come through. Meanwhile, Embiid himself not only is not the league's MVP, but he's never won anything either. Shut the fuck up! LeBron James won with what? In Cleveland, with what? Kyrie Irving? Don't talk to me about Kyrie Irving. Nike's dumping him. Did you read that? This is the last year you're going to get a goddamn Kyrie shoe from Nike because Nike's like, fuck this guy. He thinks the world is flat and he doesn't play because he has an excuse that he won't take a vaccine because the world's flat and because there's no such thing as evolution and anything else that's crap that comes out of Kyrie Irving's mouth. And to make things worse, he doesn't make anybody better around him, and he never did. He was an albatross on LeBron James' back, and LeBron carried him to his only championship. And it will be his only championship. Harden couldn't even get one. So keep hating on LeBron, folks. That's great. You should just keep on tuning in and keep supporting that NBA for these underperforming bozos. I just found the whole thing unbelievable. I just think this is great. Embiid says James Harden and the entire 76ers, except himself, need to be more aggressive, toughen up in order to break through. Break through? It's still a process. No, it's not. It's... What would Bill Walton say? It's over. It's over. Yeah. Okay. Done.
They're at home too.
Yeah. There is no life. There is no sign of life whatsoever. None. And thank you, Christopher. I'm doing fine. How are you doing, Mr. Milton Sr.? Nice to have you on board. I appreciate my viewers. I really do. And it's because we're a boutique small group. And the reason there are so few viewers is because of me. I'm sorry. I'm not going to tell you and hype the betting lines on professional sporting events. I'm just going to tell you that the NBA's rigged. Okay. Now, let's move on to Jarvis Landry, shall we? Jarvis Landry has finally found a one-year home back at where he comes from in New Orleans. And I want to say something really good about Jarvis Landry, because we don't say bad things about players who really played their hearts out and played hurt. And he got caught in a market that there was just not much of a market for a guy who's 30 years old and who's just had accumulating injuries to his body. And now he's going to a place where hopefully Michael Thomas will be back and Jameis Winston will be able to get him the ball. We don't have numbers on what they paid him, but it was only a one-year deal, so I can tell you it ain't going to be great, and it took New Orleans this long to get him. And the fact that the Saints chose Chris Olave, the Ohio State wide receiver, with their 11th pick, you know, Landry is going to be a locker room presence like he was in Cleveland. This guy was a veteran before he was a veteran.
Yeah.
He's got a great attitude. He knows what kind of work you have to put in to succeed in the league. I'm not sure that any of the players on the Browns listen to him. And I'm really not sure, honestly, that any of the players on the Saints will listen to him either. But he's got something good to say. And he really has a tremendous pair of hands. Great receiver. And through hard work, diligence, good guy. And I wish him well. And all the media that's turning this into, well, you know, he's going to be coming to Cleveland because the Saints are on our schedule. Right, you are. And they're already setting up on this shit on Cleveland. He's going to catch 14 passes for 250 yards. Yep. I should make this like a Bill Walton day, you know, because everything's hype, you know. Yeah. There's no doubt about it to me. Yeah, you know. Jarvis Landry, you know, Jesus Christ. Let him have a great game every week. He's deserving. He's a good guy. He put up with as much as he could put up with the Browns and the dysfunction and the quarterback situation. He wanted to play with Deshaun Watson. He really did.
Yeah.
But the Browns wanted to go younger, and they think they found a younger version of Jarvis Landry. That's what they think. What makes me say they didn't listen to him? Do you think Rashard Higgins improved? You think all the guys who were lined up offsides before the play started, you think they listened to him? Now I'm going to go sling blade on your ass. Mm-hmm. Them guys didn't even want to play football. Mm-hmm. No, they didn't listen to him. Maybe Donovan Peoples-Jones, but Donovan Peoples-Jones, when he found out he was the number one, it's like, wrong. The fact of the matter is, the Browns were a good example of a team that was discombobulated last year. They regressed. And it wasn't just Baker Mayfield who regressed either. The same silly mistakes of us lining up in the neutral zone and just doing dumbass things started appearing all over again. And that's just a sign the team's lost focus. Jarvis Landry always came to work with his lunch bucket, man. He came to work and he worked. And he never, he was emotional. He played hard for himself, for the fans. He's worth the money he earns. I hope he does well. I really do. As far as the Browns' schedule is concerned, there's lots of ways you can look at this. if we don't get off to a good start, it's over. Oh, God.
Stretch.
The Panthers and Jets. That's our first two games. We're in Carolina, and then we're in Cleveland against the Jets.
You know why Goodell put Carolina first?
Oh, wow. Because that's where Baker's going?
Yeah, that's what the league wants.
Speak up. Speak up.
I was saying that's what the league wants. They want Baker in Carolina so they can get Carolina versus the Browns, just like Darnold versus the Jets.
Isn't that incredible? The Browns haven't started a season 2-0 since 1993.
Yeah, that's wild.
You know, Peter, I remember back in those days. I think Eisenhower was president. We were just coming out of the Korean conflict. I mean, 1993, that's going to be damn near 30 fucking years. How could you not be 2-0 to start a season in 30 fucking years? How's that possible? You would just think by the roll of the dice that you would be playing, lousy teams in the first two games of the season. And I'm sure we did. If you go back and look at the schedules, but we still couldn't get it done. So that's how we start out the year. The Browns haven't won a week one game since 2004. It's 18 years.
Another bad streak.
I mean, it's like, so you guys go to the home opener? No. I'm just staying away from the goddamn home opener, I don't want to see it. I don't want to be it. And they've gone 21-1 in season openers since the new Browns in 1999. Yeah, the old Browns used to win. The new Browns,
not so much.
The new Browns have, I got a proposition for you guy defending them. That's the new Browns. I don't think I got a proposition for you. Even saw the old Browns play. Let me tell you, there is no comparison between, okay? They call themselves the Browns, but there's a reason why the saying Browns is Browns did catch on around the league, because since 1999, it has been so data. So it's amazing. 121-1.
Yeah, that's a long time.
That's fucked up. They also haven't played a team with a previous season's record as low as the Panthers 5-12 and the Jets 4-12 in 2014 and in 2015. I mean, this is if the Browns can win in Charlotte, and they'll actually have an opportunity to win a season opener in Cleveland. And, I'm going to tell you what I said back in it wasn't really in 1999. I did say it, but it was at one of Prince's parties. I don't remember if it was 1999 or if it was like 1999. When I first started doing the podcast, I said, you know what the real curse in Cleveland is? It's that fucking stadium. I remember the old days of watching the Browns play in Municipal Stadium.
That's the Richfield one?
No. That was the basketball. That was the Coliseum.
Oh, okay.
In Richfield. No, this is Municipal Stadium on the lake where they tore it down.
Oh,
okay, and then they built, which I still call the Jake. I don't like Progressive Field. Flo, don't play baseball. Okay, enough of that shit. So they moved it more into the downtown area, and but Municipal Stadium, when 80,000 people would show up to watch the Browns, it would literally shake, and not necessarily in a good way, like it was going to give in, And Art Modell's like, I hope it doesn't cave in. They're going to sue me. But it was a raucous place, and it not only was it screaming fans but it was fans where there was so much bathroom overflow that there was urine on the ground. Okay. It was ripe. That was a ripe stadium, but it had attitude. And when they said the dog pound, I remember when Haslam bought the Browns and said, I'm going to sit in the dog pound. It's like, and that shows you what happened to the dog pound. It went to shit. If Jimmy Haslam would have tried to sit in the old dog pound in Municipal Stadium, they'd have beaten the shit out of him. They robbed him. They would have taken D out in the back, and behind all the grill setups before the game and done her. Honestly, the attitude just drained, and we had this nondescript, non-personality, cold, barren-looking, generic, could have dropped down from anywhere out of the sky stadium. And I've never felt that the crowd ever really has been able to make a difference like it did in the old Municipal Stadium. I remember the Browns were playing the Cowboys in the playoffs, and the place shook so loud, the Cowboys couldn't do dick. The Browns crushed them. Don Cockcroft would kick a punt, and the guy couldn't hear himself think. He'd panic and fumble the ball. The Browns would fall on it. Honest to God, it was hard to win in Cleveland in Municipal Stadium. It was hard to win. But now it's not hard to win in Cleveland. So, unbelievable.
Let's hope Jacoby can win week 1 if it's Jacoby.
Well, I mean, here's the deal. We don't know who's going to be playing at quarterback, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. The Panthers are hoping that in their third season with Matt Rule, that Matt will rule, and the Jets will boast an upgraded roster. They got cornerback Ahmad Sauce Gardner, the wide receiver Garrett Wilson, of course, we know where he's from, and the defensive end Jermaine Johnson in the draft. And they, by all accounts, the Jets have had a very, very good draft. So, you never know what you're going to get there. It's kind of like a box of chocolates. We have 2 primetime games, right? Which really is nice that you have 2 primetime games. Honestly, I hate primetime games because I have to stay up so late to do the halftime and postgame shows. But everybody judges how popular your team is by how many primetime games you get. And 2? No. 2 primetime games isn't very good. And the thing is, they're both at home, but they haven't even established times for them. The first comes in week 3 when the Browns host the Squealers on Thursday Night Football. It's either going to be Mitch Trubisky, Kenny Pickett,
or the reindeer.
Gary Puckett. You can lick it. And hopefully the fans will try to make noise in a stadium that seems to be insulated from noise. The second primetime matchup is week 8 against the Bengals on a Halloween edition of Monday Night Football. Put that knife down, OJ. What are you going crazy? Put that thing down. Yep. It's the first time that the reigning AFC champions will play against the Browns in 2022. And it comes a week before the Browns get their bye week, right in the middle of the season this year in week 9. Our players love to play under the lights, Kevin Stefanski said. And I know our fans love to be loud inside this death stadium that we play in. They got to pipe in noise. They got to do something. They got to have like the Blue Angels flying overhead, just disrupting things. They got to be shooting off fireworks. The thing I remember that was amazing The only time the fans really got loud was when it looked like the Browns were in an important offensive situation. All I saw was Baker going like this, shut the fuck up!
Yeah.
And the crowd didn't get it. The crowd is like, oh, oh. It's like you're supposed to make the noise when the other team has the ball, you dumb fucks. Not when you're, and then we jump off sides. And the other side's going, ah! They make noise when their own team has the ball. Ah! And the fact that we got a bye in week 9 is better than having to wait for the whole fucking season until your team is completely crippled like last year.
Yeah.
But when you take the bye into account, we got 2 division games in week 7 and week 8 before the bye, and that's the Ravens and the Bengals. One's an away game against the Ravens, and the other one is the home game against the Bengals. And then after the bye, we got the Dolphins, which that can go one way or another. That football team, I could see them just like Tua just tanking and the whole coaching change just going really bad for Miami. Then you got the Bills in week 11. Ouch. And then coming to Cleveland, you got Tom Brady.
Hooray.
Hooray. In week 12. That's a rough stretch, man.
Yeah.
For the Ravens, the Bengals, the Dolphins, the Bills, and the Buccaneers, that can turn your season around one way or another. And you better pray to the baby Jesus that we have Deshaun Watson because, honestly, no. That you're not going to make it with Jacoby Brissett. That ain't going to happen. Now, the toughest 2 games comes in weeks 11 and 12, and that's the Bills and the Bucks back to back. Boy, that's alliterative. Bills and Bucks back to back. Here's Joe Buck. These teams are labeled as Super Bowl favorites and will be betting favorites. And they got Josh Allen and Tom Brady, and this is not going to be easy. That's the toughest 2-game stretch. We have 3 divisional games in the last 5 weeks. Now, this stacking is something that was much more dramatic last season, where it's like it seemed like every week at the end of the season we were playing back-to-back games against the Ravens and all kinds of fucked up stuff was happening. This, a week 14 matchup against the Bengals, that'll be in Cincinnati. A week 15 battle against the Ravens will be in Cleveland. And the season-ending game, week 18 against the Steelers. Nothing better than finishing out with the Steelers when they have no chance of going into the playoffs. I hate the Steelers. Still do, always will. And then you got to win those games. Those might be moved as primetime games if they figure prominently in the playoff race, because they do have that adjustability now. So there could be more. So, I mean, that's really the things that I noticed about the schedule. The fear, of course, is that you got to play them all in your division anyway. The way it goes. And you got to play him with whoever you can put on the field. And no, it's not going to be Baker Mayfield, so stop that nonsense now.
Oh, yeah.
But Jarvis Landry found a job before Baker Mayfield did. And it's funny, I was watching Rich Eisen. Actually, I was watching him take a piss in the men's room. Oh, big. No, I was watching him, and you know, one of his viewers, who is a regular caller, was saying, do you think that this is a conspiracy theory, all of this with Baker Mayfield? And they come up with all of this stuff that all the owners are so pissed off at the Cleveland Browns that to make them pay, Tim Misney, to make them pay, they're purposely not going after Baker Mayfield. Because fuck the Browns. The Browns gave out the $230 million guarantee contract. And Bill Bidwell, the biggest schmuck of the NFL owners, he is a schmuck. Believe me. He's got to sit down and sit there with Kyler Murray now and negotiate after that contract. So he hates Jimmy Haslam, but I do too. There's nothing likable about Jimmy Haslam. He's a liar. He's sincerely insincere, and he rips people off. And he consistently loses. But do you think that the prices weren't going up? Do you think that the Browns have served to be the catalyst of all of this? Oh, give me a break. Teams have been spending money compared to seasons before at an alarming clip to get what they want. But when it's Tom Brady goes to Tampa and Tampa's all in, and it's like, oh boy, it's Tom Brady. They're going to win the Super Bowl. Oh, is that wonderful? When it's the Browns, like, fuck them. They're evil. They're ruining the game. The integrity of the game. Go ahead and give that guy another painkiller. The integrity of the game. It's Shubba Wubba Hub 24. Moo, what do you think of Matt Corral? Corral, Mississippi State quarterback? I mean, what do I know? I wouldn't be resting my, hat, on his shoulders.
He's a backup.
He's a backup. That's what he is. Let's see. T-Tosh. Hi, T-Tosh. How you doing, buddy? At what point will you admit that the real problem is the head coach and his high school playbook? That would be this year, Alex. I mean, yeah, if Deshaun Watson comes off the field and goes, totally baffled, it's like, why did he call backward double pitch? I don't get it, Then we'll know, okay? Yeah. Right at this point, this is the first year, by the way, we have a rookie mini camp where Stefanski's actually present. So he gets to coach up the lousy draft that the Browns. No, that's cruel. I'm sorry. But yeah, COVID just dumped on it. And this is the first one he's in person for. So, we'll see. There's no excuses left for Kevin Stefanski. And if he can't get the ball into the right people's hands, and if he's calling bad plays, and, if he runs Demetric Felton in motion, Demetric Felton, I looked at his odometer. He literally had like 3,000 miles on his odometer, and he only played 6 snaps a game, and it was all east-west. None of it was north-south. He was running back and forth, kind of like Jabril Peppers was going backwards.
Yeah.
I don't know.
As Stefanski says, he has a role.
I got a proposition for you. What is he saying here? Got to put him up here. I don't know. Paying general managers, that sounds Christian. General managers and coaches, year after year, they've been fired, is considered as ripping people off. Well, it's raising ticket prices, and that's ripping fans off. If you're paying 2 or 3 different head coaches that have failed, I suppose you could look at that as ripping people off. Yeah, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with what the Browns did, quite honestly. I really don't. They haven't had a quarterback, and they haven't been able to draft one, and they drafted Whedon and Manziel and Baker, and it hasn't worked out. No consistency at the position. So they're all in on Deshaun Watson. So, like I said, if Deshaun Watson hits the field and is out there scratching his head, and they say to him, Deshaun, why all the dump offs? And he'll go, if that happens, it's like, did you call that audible for the triple pitch backwards? No. Then we'll know. Then we'll know that it's Stefanski and his high school offense. No, you're talking football. You won't get blocked. I don't block people. The people who get blocked are the spammers, or the people who are being rude, or the people who have asked if I were ever a star in a grossly overweight pornography film or whatever. Those are the people who get blocked. Okay. Yeah, there used to be people come in here and they say, you fat fuck. And I go, why are you looking at me then? You're a chubby chaser. You're a chubby chaser. I'm hot to you, and that makes me uncomfortable. You don't have to chill. Keep firing out those opinions. That's what makes the show the show. Thank you, Coach Wilson. I got to do a better job. I swear to God. That's going to become, how come there's no burger in the bun? I got to do a better job, man. I got to do a better job. That's going to become, every bad employee that you run across. That's going to become the mantra. I got to do a better job. Got to do a better job. Amsterdam, I will say this. You've survived over a decade. And if he has, anyone can. But I got to be honest. For the most part, I ignore you. How to break a guy's balls. Oh, my God. I love talking to the people in chat when I have the opportunity. It's just usually there's so much to talk about. There is no opportunity to do this. But I thought this was interesting, too. The over-under for all 32 teams. Like the Buffalo Bills, 11 and a half games won. I mean, this is how many games they're predicting teams will win. Miami, 8.5, which is really kind of what I'm saying. It could go either way, 50-50 with the Dolphins. Same thing with the Patriots. Mac Jones, we'll see if he has the big second-year leap or what the situation is. They're also at 8.5. The New York Jets are at 5.5 and holding steady. That seems to be a real common number in New York. They have a young team. Zach Wilson, I don't know. The Ravens, 9.5. Right? So if you could, you go 9.5 and 7.5. Right? That would be their record. They'll call it 10 and 7, right? The Cincinnati Bengals, 9.5. Same thing. So, I mean, for a team that was in the Super Bowl, coming with an over-under before the season begins of 9.5 wins, he's got to have, quarterback Burrow's got to have a great season, and they got to stay healthy at wide receiver, stay healthy at quarterback position. And their defense, that secondary that they're putting a little bit of money in and draft force in, got to get better. What do you think the Browns are, Peter?
I already know the answer.
You already know the answer. All right. So 9.5, folks, exactly the same. What they're saying is, we don't know who to bet on, the Ravens, the Bengals, or the Browns. What we do know is that the Steelers over-under is 7.5. And it ain't going to be them. That's what they know. So, and then, of course, with Cleveland's 9.5 over-under, this will hinge heavily on whether Deshaun Watson is suspended under the league's code of conduct policy. If he isn't, the Browns easily have the talent to reach 10 wins. Well, I would hope so. I would hope. The AFC South, hey, the Houston Texans are going to be at a 4.5. You know why? They're being led by Davis Mills, which is right there with Heather Mills and Donna Mills. Now we're going old actresses who shouldn't even be spoken about.
And they have Lovie Smith.
I'm sorry?
I was saying, and they have Lovie Smith at coach.
Lovie Smith will guarantee that they score a few points but have a better defense, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll become the Chicago Bears South. That's what, you know. The Colts, 9.5. You know, that's Matt Ryan's job is, can Matt Ryan buy enough time in the pocket and young receivers like Michael Pittman Jr., can these guys show up and get better? Jonathan Taylor, their running back, he's getting older. It's going to be hard. That's going to be difficult. The Jacksonville Jaguars over-under is 6.5. That's going through the roof since Urban Meyer left.
Yeah.
Doug Peterson is much more well-regarded than Urban Meyer. I never understood what the big deal. Urban Meyer sounds like a luncheon meat to me.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's got, you know, what was it? What was the jingle? For Urban Meyer has a way with Bologna. It's Urban Meyer bologna, and that's what he served. The Titans, 9.5 is their over-under. And the Titans are going to be a tough team because Vrabel's kind of a tough-as-nails coach. But they always, if they get in, squeak in. They're never dominant. They lose games they should win, so that, you know. Get the Broncos, man. Over-under number 10, and John Elway is still associated with the organization. Wow. He has one guy, quarterback. Wow. You think Broncos are going to win 10 games?
I don't.
The Chiefs are over-under is 10.5. It's not that, you know, it's same division. The Raiders, if they could figure out who works for the organization, 8.5.
Yeah.
Very confusing. And they have trouble protecting Derek Carr, who could go down to a season-ending injury. You heard it here first. Because he needs to get Devontae Adams downfield, and that takes time, and he hasn't had time. That's been a big problem for them. The Chargers at 10, we get to see them this year again, and I don't want to see it. I don't want to see that quarterback again.
No, thank you.
That son of a bitch tore us a new asshole. My God.
Cleveland versus the LA team.
I couldn't believe it. The guy would just throw it up in the air. There was one play where the ball was wedged at his asshole. He farted it for a 24-yard completion. It was like, what in the hell? Everything he threw out there, God. So hopefully it won't be. But the Chargers have 2 AFC West foes first 2 weeks of the season. So that's tough. The Cowboys at 10.5. I never put my money on the goddamn Cowboys. Never. Because of Jerry Jones. Never. He will somehow fuck everything up.
Yeah.
But they do have the easiest strength of schedule based off last year's win percentages. Will the New York Giants win 7 games? They were 4-13 last year, and I don't know.
With the new former Browns head coach.
Yeah, and Daniel Jones, I don't know. The Eagles at 9 games. They got A.J. Brown. And love's not the only thing that hurts. Jalen does too. So, I don't know. Jalen Hurts has not shown me anything that would make me believe that he is the future, but be that as it may. The Commanders are stuck at 7.5, and why not? They will find a way. They always will. If they won 10 games, they would start hanging their female employees and beating them with a rug. Honestly, they would find a way to fuck it up and get thrown out and not make the playoffs. The Chicago Bears at 6.5, they did nothing to help Justin Fields. Nothing. Nothing at all. And that's just too bad. Because I don't know whether he could possibly, I don't know. He looked like he was running for his life last year. The Lions are stuck at 6. That's all. That's all, folks. The Packers at 11, they're the ones who lead the brigade. I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
The Vikings at 9. I can see that. They may get a little boost just by getting rid of Mike Zimmer. That's possible. The Falcons lose Matt Ryan. They're down to 5.5 on the over-under. That's just not happy stuff. The Panthers at 6. They just haven't, I just don't see any way that they're going to get consistent play out of Sam Darnold. I'm sorry. I don't see it. Jarvis Landry is going to a team with an over-under of 7.5. I mean, losing Sean Payton right off the bat is bad.
Yeah.
Jameis Winston, I'm not sold. Michael Thomas, I'm sold. He's back. Olave, we will see. We'll see what kind of mark he makes for himself. Then the number 1 team, the Buccaneers, at 11.5. They're going to be the favorites. Arizona at a 9, and then God only knows what hell will break loose trying to get Kyler Murray to stay. The Rams at 10.5. Well, you know that they got personnel. The 49ers at 10. Trey Lance, wow. That's a lot to put on him.
Yeah.
A lot to put on him. The Seahawks at a 6. Bye-bye, Russ. I mean, they're playing. They play football in Seattle. Yeah. They'll go the way that the Supersonics went in the NBA. So
they got Drew Lock as our starting QB.
Oh my God, that is just a frightening thing.
Yeah.
And if you're curious, Browns fans, our preseason, we play the Jaguars on August 12th. On the 21st, we play the Eagles. The Eagles will be in Cleveland. The Jaguars will be in Jacksonville. So it'll be nice and humid. And the third preseason game will be the Bears. And that'll be on August 27th. The first game will be at 7 p.m., the next to 1 p.m., and then the third one is 7 p.m. start. So there you have it. September 11th is where it all begins. Week 1 for the Cleveland Browns.
Do you think there's any chance that Stefanski, I know it's super early, but do you think Stefanski is going to play any starters in preseason?
I think people who are legitimately fighting for a lot of depth position snaps are going to get a lot of look-see, but there's no way you're going to be fucking around with Nick Chubb and with Kareem Hunt. You ain't going to be fucking around with that. You also have to develop some of your offensive linemen, the depth at offensive line positions, because you're not going to be able to play guys who are injured. Conklin can't come out in the preseason and start playing games. And you can't do it. So you're going to find out if any of these younger players look like they have the stuff to get things done. And what else was I going to? I lost my place. Oh, the 2022, draft, 7 of the 9 picks now are signed. Martin Emerson, he jumped at the opportunity because he didn't think he'd be in the league. Defensive end Alex Wright, David Bell, running back Jerome Ford, wide receiver Mike Woods the second, Isaiah Thomas the defensive end, and guard Dawson Deaton the 7th round pick. They praise the baby Jesus, I'm in the league. So those are the guys, the 7 of the 9 who have done their signing. So, and we got a bunch of undrafted free agents as rookie mini camp begins. There's not anything that I can tell you anything about here. The only thing I can say is Travell Harris is a wide receiver. I know nothing about him. The only wide receiver I seem to know anything about, and I'm scanning through the list, is a kid who went to, was it Northern Iowa? Was that the school he went to?
Yeah.
He's straight line fast, but I'm looking up his name so I don't butcher this. Isaiah Weston.
Yeah, he's also 25.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's a long shot. This is a guy who may be on special teams if something happens. So who's that? Jameel Adams? Is that our guy?
Jakeem Grant.
Jakeem Grant, whatever the fuck he is. Yeah, from the Bears. Yeah, we'll see what happens to him. It was really funny. I was talking to somebody. It's amazing how small a world it is. I was on the phone for 4.5 hours with Verizon technical support because I was getting a line transferred and they fucked up. I couldn't receive text messages. I had to do SIM card surgery and all this nonsense and run, it was crazy. But one of the guys who was out of Atlanta, he goes, "Are you on the radio? Because your voice." And I go, "Yes." And he said, "Moohead Radio, what is that?" I go, "It's Northeast Ohio Sports, Cleveland Browns." He goes, "Oh, good friend of mine was drafted by the Browns." I go, "When?" He goes, "Like 2004. Who was it?" He says, "Sean Jones." I go, "Yeah, number 26. He goes, "Yeah, that was him." I don't think he made a huge impact for the Cleveland Browns, but I remembered him. Small world. They're best buddies. Ron Shane is asking a legitimate question. Will we have more than one rookie start this season? You're thinking David Bell will be the starting slot, Ron? Is that what you're asking me?
David Bell, maybe Winfrey, but who knows?
Yeah, it's with Stefanski, there's a lot of rotating in and out, and starting doesn't necessarily mean a whole hell of a lot in all of the mix. There's so many situationals that I don't know. Ron saying the kicker. Well, yeah, that's obvious. Yes, the kicker.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm thinking David Bell will be in the slot. I don't see how, unless something bad happens to him, we don't have a slot receiver. We just don't. So I think they're counting on him to step up and step in where Landry left off. And that's a tall order. Yeah. So, but definitely the kicker. I don't consider him I know he's a player and all, but not. I'm thinking of rotational players, guys coming in and out. And, are there any guys who we're expecting to make this massive impact? Yeah, Emerson at cornerback. No, I don't think so. No, I don't think we drafted for starters. I think we drafted for depth and to kick more field goals and to pin people deeper. That seems to be what strategy there. You weren't going to find, you passed on a wide receiver who could have been something for you in the fourth round. You could have. You gave it away. Your number 44 pick in the third round, in the second round, you gave away. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't think this is a banner rookie class, and I don't think that's the way the Browns were going anyway, trying to get Deshaun Watson on the field.
Yeah, in this draft, it reminded me a little bit of a Sashi Brown type draft, even though the only difference is obviously we have a better team than what Sashi had a few years ago.
Yeah. I mean, I want to end off on this note. When things are bad, for professional sports franchises, there reaches a point where fans just hold their heads. I think, who was it who were the original? I think the New Orleans Saints were the original wear the bags over your head people. Just the sheer shame of being associated with an organization because they're so terrible. The New York Mets officially win the day. I mean, in a city with the Yankees who have this hallowed past, Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig and Joe DiMaggio and Mickey Mantle and, on and on and on it goes. The New York Mets had 1969, 1969, 1969, 1969. And lately it's just been horrible. They made the big deal for Francisco Lindor. I mean, the guy was great in Cleveland. He hits the New York, and the Indians are the Guardians are a shit organization. Well, the Indians were a shit organization too, and so are the Guardians, by golly. But Lindor was great. He was awesome. He goes to the Mets, and he just turns into a sack of shit. He's hitting a 246 this year. He had 238 last year. Can't do nothing. And people are wondering, like, I thought this guy's good. Now, he may get his act together, but last year was amazingly bad. And he's off to another bad start. Well, their 2021 first round pick from last season was a guy named Kumar Rocker. He's a pitcher out of Vanderbilt. He did not sign last year. Their first round pick did not sign. He made himself ineligible just so that he wouldn't have to play for the Mets, right? You know what he's done instead? He's joined the independent league Tri-City Valley Cats. Oh my God. He's 22 years old. He was a junior in Vanderbilt. He was selected by the Mets with the 10th overall pick in the amateur draft. He was the only player among the first 29 picks who failed to sign. And as a result, the Mets lost the $4,739,000 slot value available for draft signings that was assigned to Rocker's pick. And now he's eligible for this year's amateur draft, which starts July 17th. And his contract with his independent league team runs up until the draft. Now, can you imagine how can you even stand to be a New York Mets fan when a guy out of Vanderbilt who's 21 years old at the time says, no, I'm not going to sign, but instead I'm going to go to the independent league where they have the dancing hot dog doing flips on the field. Oh.
Yeah, at least Kyler Murray went to the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, all right, I'm not updated. So now I guess Lindor is hitting a 231. It's heading south like the stock market was until today. Yeah. And this is an understatement. Can't carry the weight. People in New York, they're not going to put up with this shit. They're not going to even wait till Christmas to start hating him. They're just going to hate him right out of the chute. Mets fans are just tired, weary of the whole thing. I just thought, wow. I mean, I've seen guys. I mean, Lindor was a can't miss. And you know what's funny? There's always players who come to teams like the Guardians, a guy like Stephen Kwan, or even a guy like Owen Miller, who they're 300 hitters. And it was like Yandy Diaz was the same way before we fucked him over. Guys who are able to get their bat on the ball, and they actually turn out to be decent players. But the problem is that we still end up with Austin Hedges with the bases loaded with an alleged bat in his hands. Yeah, I almost died when the Guardians came back from the 8-2 deficit to win in extra innings. And Josh Naylor driving in 8 runs in a game. I swear to God, it was like, this was like an acid trip for me. It's like the incredible bulk. Josh Naylor just closing his eyes, swinging as hard as he could. And he got a grand slam and a 3-run homer. Unbelievable. They'll be back in action, but they're COVID stricken. The Indians, I'm sorry, the Guardians. Me and Rick Manning have the same fucking problem. We're old. The Guardians, their entire coaching staff is like down with COVID. And so Francona's not going to be there. Hale, the backup, not going to be there. It's going to be Sasquatch, Carl Willis, the pitching coach. And I guess Naylor now is out with COVID. So that's going to race through the locker room. And we're playing in Minnesota against the Twins, who Tony the Calf isn't talking about here on the show. Thank God. But they're doing well. They're off to a very, very good start in Minnesota. So that's it for me. I've done everything I could do for you today.
Yeah, we're in the off season, all right.
We're in the off season, is right. And Peter, thanks for sitting in and putting up with me. Thanks to everybody in the chat room too. And don't worry, I'm not going to throw anybody out of the chat room. I don't do shit like that. Unless you're a spammer. If you're a spammer, I'll just get rid of you. But hey, if you're talking sports, yeah. That's right, Crumbly Q. Eat more chicken. This is Mr. Moohead, your least favorite podcast host, saying good night and hasta la vista, pasture heads. We'll see you again on Monday. Bye-bye now. Good night.